Weapons and Resident Evil go hand in hand. Some of the games feature huge, robust lineups of crazy firearms that rock the world every time their barrel cracks, while others in the series take a much more muted approach, giving us weapons that you could probably expect in such an environment as they are presented. Resident Evil 2 definitely falls into the latter category of these games, having weapons that never get too outlandish in their ability to fight the undead. However, muted doesn't mean bad, and today I thought it would be fun to take a look at some of the weapons we get to test out during Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield's adventures in Raccoon. Keep in mind that this is my list, and as such will probably differ from yours, so feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. All that being said, let's kick this list off with... It may surprise some of you to see that the minigun is on this list at all. On a first playthrough, your exposure to this gun is going to be pretty underwhelming. Its only real prominence coming in the 4th stage Birkin fight at the end of the Claire campaign. However, what you may not know is that an infinite ammo version of this gun is available to those who are willing to go the extra mile. For those of you who are willing to embrace a challenge, the infinite minigun can be unlocked by completing a Claire playthrough in hardcore mode and earning the rank of S+ in the process. This means completing the game within a set time limit of 2.5 hours in the A scenario, or 2 hours in the B scenario, only saving 3 times or less, and also not using any infinite ammo weapons that you may have already unlocked. Or, alternatively, you could spend $5 on it. This puts the minigun in a really interesting position for me personally, in that I enjoy when games have these kinds of unlocks, but a hardcore S+ run is probably going to be the last thing you do in a game like this, meaning that you're never really going to touch this overpowered weapon. Still though, using this thing on standard enemies is just so much fun. Headshots are really satisfying in Resident Evil 2, and this thing racks them up with the greatest of ease. So, for all those reasons, the minigun earns the 5th spot on this list. Infinite ammo is generally what I'm looking for when I do multiple playthroughs of a Resident Evil game. Not having to worry about picking up resources and just exploring opens up the game quite a bit for a second round playthrough when you're more comfortable with the process. And while this game does have several infinite ammo weapons for you to toy around with, the only one that you're likely to get without digging deep into hardcore is the infinite samurai edge. This infinite handgun will become available to you if you manage to get an S rank in standard difficulty. Perhaps a challenge for the first time around, but almost unavoidable once you know where you're going. For me, this is probably the weapon that I've used the most out of any of the others on this list, for the simple fact that it's the easiest to get. However, that being said, it's far from the most powerful handgun in this game. In fact, I don't know the statistics, but I would say that it ranks in the weakest weapons if it's not the weakest itself. But regardless, I've used this thing so much, I'm so familiar with it, that this list would be incomplete without its inclusion. So for the hundreds of zombies this thing has put down, and the thousands of bullets I've pumped out with it, the Infinite Samurai Edge earns the 4th spot on this list. It's hard to beat a good shotgun, and while Resident Evil 2 might not bring with it much of a selection, the W870 hardly needs the competition. I've always enjoyed this thing, even back on the PS4, but when I replayed this game on the PS5, this gun quickly became my favorite to use because of the addition of the adaptive triggers in that version. If you don't know, the PS5 has something built into its controllers, which I believe they call haptic feedback. Basically, it makes the triggers tight when you perform actions in-game. But despite having this console since January, I had yet to actually experience this feature to any great extent before replaying this. Most, if not all, the weapons in this game take advantage of that feature, but typically they only give you a slight resistance on the actual shot. The W870, though, is resistance all the way through. making this boomstick feel like a powerhouse anytime you take aim at an undead head. This little addition to the PS5 version just cemented this weapon as one of my favorites. It makes this weapon feel powerful, which translates well into how strong it actually is. So, for the power this thing packs, and the ease at which it racks up headshots, the W870 earns the 3rd spot on this list. This selection seems kind of controversial because I don't know what handguns people tend to gravitate towards for this game. Resident Evil 2 has a disproportionate amount of handguns compared to everything else. Not only do you get a distinct one for Leon's campaign and Claire's campaign, but you also get a different one for Leon's B scenario and Claire's B scenario, then you get a different one for the Ada mission, a different one for the Hunk mission, and you have 4 different samurai edges which can be earned through various means. So the options for anyone's favorites are as varied as the day is long. However, for me, if I was picking a pistol for this game, it would have to be the JMB HP3, the one with the worst name and best feature out of any of them. If you don't know, the JMB is an exclusive weapon to Claire's campaign, and it can be found in the garage inside the trunk of one of the police cars. But for me, what makes this weapon stand out is of course the laser sight that it comes with, harkening back to my favorite game in the series, Resident Evil 4. Ironically though, Leon's not the one who gets the gun, which is kinda funny. The laser sight elevates this one for me because I've always preferred that system of aiming to the crosshairs. The precision without the weight makes it very useful when time is of the essence. Unfortunately though, due to it not being the main sidearm, it doesn't get as many add-ons as something like the SLS or the Matilda. But it's still my favorite to use, so for those reasons, the JMB HP3 takes the 2nd spot on this list. I love magnums in Resident Evil games. Since Barry's beauty at the Spencer Mansion, they've been a staple of the series that has never gotten old. So when we get a glimpse of the Lightning Hawk from behind the locked doors of the STARS offices, I was beyond excited to break in and steal this thing for myself. For me, magnums have always been boss killers, lying in wait as an insurance plan in case you get overwhelmed, and Resident Evil 2 was no exception. I typically save this thing to shred the tyrant at the end, but you actually get it fairly early in the game, which allows you to use it as you wish. However, while this gun is impressive in Leon's main campaign, it's really the extra content that truly rekindled my love for it. If you've never played the Ghost Survivors or the 4th Survivor, then you've likely never experienced the absolute zombie pulp this thing can churn out. In the extra modes, it's kind of a use it or lose it situation, which gives you free reign to go nuts with your ammo in a way that you likely wouldn't in the standard campaign. It gives you a different experience with this gun that makes me better appreciate it. So for those reasons, this Magnum takes the number 1 spot on this list. Anyways, those are my picks. What are yours? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I love toying around with the new weapons in Resident Evil games, and Resident Evil 2 had some interesting ones that I don't think I fully appreciated when I played through it for the first time on the PS4. Either way though, let me know what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one.